Yashkiyakta ashkana eikna achma iatna wa. Makichka awa ishkana tiktika atwatne. Makchoi wa ishkana maktika iakna atna wa. Makachua ia kaishkana atnishka. Machki ashkana ma. Aktiktika hi haishkani yakna wa ashkani ani ka taktaka ea wa ashkani I. Muachika iashkana miyakna ashkana aikta. Yakshna malikalawa ishkanai. Tiktaktakawa ena. Miachka atwa ishkanai tiktaka ashkani. Ashkilawa ishkana makashkuyashkaniya. Makeshka ashkaniya. Maktalawa ishkanayo tiktaka apna. Makshewa ashkaniya ishkana. Wakalawa iashkana atmiashkana tiktaka atwatne. Makaya ho ishkana atwa ishkana tiktaka ishkana. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm happy to be here with you today. When I was just settling in to do this video and connecting to see what wanted to come through today, I started with this sounding, and so I decided to just let that be what wants to come through today as the beginning. And I've thought about what I could offer today, and part of what was coming through me is a piece that's opening up for me now around really stepping into our own sovereignty, our own source as our way of living, our access of information, to really connect in with our source. And a lot of the things that are moving through me are coming through this work that I've talked about before with oraclegirl.org. And I'm just continuing to open up and really drop more fully into all that I am as I listen to her work. And last night in my sleeplessness was coming this deeper awareness around there's no good and bad, there's no white hat, black hat. This is something that she had discussed. And it really, last night in my sleep, it really dropped in and anchored in for me that the source within us is everything. And this whole thing about good and bad is part of the old paradigm that we've been living that is dissolving right now. And part of it is also, I feel, related to the fairy tale analogy where we feel like we're going to be rescued instead of really being empowered in ourselves and knowing that we're creating our reality as a whole, as a mass consciousness of humanity, and also as ourselves, as individuals in our own world. So, everybody living in the same town is all having a different experience of what it means to live there. So we have our own individual piece, plus we have sort of the whole as the mass consciousness, because everything that we are is impacting everything else. So that was dropping in more fully today. So I'm going to bring through some higher guidance around this today. I think it would be really helpful to see what this source connection within me has to share for us all, because it will be new information for me as well as it comes through in regard to this. So I'll just connect in now and let that come through. And so it is, beloved souls, our deepest joy and delight as always to be with you. For we see before us the aspect of humanity that is ready for this great awakening, that is ready to embellish what you know about the world and who you are with a deeper truth, with a deeper wisdom that has always been under the surface, but has been covered up by great deception, great repatterning of your process of what it is to be human. And as you awaken beyond this, because of the high frequency influx of energies that is coming to your planet at this time, then as you move into this awakening, you drop that false paradigm, because the energy that it was built upon is simply not there anymore. The higher frequency does not resonate with the energy that was built upon. So unless you are keeping yourself unconsciously in a denser frequency by being in fear and believing a lot of what you are told that is still part of the old false paradigm, then you are moving into a different manner of being. And it can be a complicated, complex process of dissolving, because as you're dissolving, you need to have the ability to be able to discover who you are underneath all of that. You need to be able to go into deep contemplation and a willingness to let go of all that is dissolving, which can make you feel very vulnerable. And so therefore people often will stop right there and go back to the familiar patterns, because that vulnerability feels very ungrounded, like you have nothing to connect to. And that leaves human beings feeling very vulnerable. And yet, if you would allow yourself to go into that state, it doesn't need to last long, of nothing to connect to. All that means really is that you're disconnecting from the false program that has kept you limited. So the more you're willing to go into that space of feeling like, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose, my direction? If all of this I believe that was me is not true anymore, then who am I? The more you allow yourself to really be in that space, the more you then disconnect from that old program, which then just drops you into the reality of who you are in your greatest potential, in the higher frequencies that are now here on this planet. And the reason we say drop into is because you actually become more grounded on this planet and more grounded in the truth of what it is to be human, connected to this planet, and less living out there where you're accessing everything that you know outside of yourself. Because when you start living in this new way, in these higher frequencies, and you drop in, you are then grounded in yourself, in your own source connection, in your own internal wisdom, in your own love of self, so that you don't have to be knocked off balance by seeking love and approval and wanting to fit in and wondering if you're beautiful enough, or if you have enough, or if you're smart enough. Once you come back into the full center of your being, none of that outside influence on who you are matters, because you know within the depth of your soul everything that you are. It takes time to allow yourself again to let go of those old programs that want to connect to that think that's important, especially when it comes to family. For this one, especially when it comes to one of her children, where she feels like she needs to be a certain thing, letting go of that maternal instinct and what that means, to drop in and really know that when you are fully anchored in to your full awareness of who you are, it doesn't matter what others think of you, because you're willing to be so different that maybe others will be guided by you, not through intentional teaching, but through modeling what it means to be someone who's living without those old programs running the show. And so this is the time you are in. So not only are you in a very vulnerable time because all of your old systems also have to fall away in the external world. So just as the old systems within you are asking to be dissolved, to simply fade away so that you can step into the higher frequency self that you are, so too the outside systems in the world are also asking to dissolve. And there's also a great effort to hold on to them because they are familiar, because people become super vulnerable when they think that the monetary system, the whole economic system, is going to dissolve. Then what? And so that then places people immediately into fear, which then drops them into that old paradigm. So it takes a lot of personal management, a lot of conscious decision making around how you're going to navigate this, and determination to be living in the high frequency self, because that's where your future is. That's the self you want to be living, because that's the self on the positive timeline future, you could say. So that's where you want to be. So the more you become determined to be this and to have faith in your own source connection to the all that is, that regardless of what happens, it's going to be the highest and best for you, without even needing to know exactly what the outcome is going to be for you. Because when you can trust that the source connection within you is leading you to your greatest evolution, and allow yourself to be challenged so that you can really move into that, then you can trust the outcome that comes into your life experience. The more you trust that outcome, in a way you could say, the easier your path forward will be, because it is in that trust that you can come back more fully then into this source connection within you that carries your own truth and the expression of who you are and how you will move forward in this new energy. So it's a very delicate balance and a delicate dance that humanity is in at this time. And the more awareness you have of what is happening in this regard, the more you can make conscious decisions to say, okay, I'm choosing this high frequency pathway, recognizing that I must be willing then to allow the old me to dissolve. And for some, that happens naturally. For some, they've come in with a certain DNA and a certain intent in this lifetime that these shifts will flow through them naturally. They have an affinity for this. For others, it's going to require more conscious intention and a little bit of effort. And for those who move into it, you could say more easily, it's because they've made that effort in previous incarnations. And so they've come into this time with more of these skills because they've been through this before. So not to compare yourself to others whether it be easier or more difficult. And especially for those who may find it a little more difficult, know that that effort has its rewards. And that's why others are moving through these shifts and these rebirths, you could say, more easily. So it is definitely a time of rebirth because you are birthing in a whole new era upon this earth. And what this really requires is this awareness that there's nobody going to rescue you. And you've heard before that you are the ones you've been waiting for. This is really true, beloveds. So don't wait for someone else, regardless of what it looks like on the outside, white hat, black hat, good, bad, light, dark, whatever it is. Don't wait for that to come and rescue you. Come home to yourself. Give some thought to this. Okay, how do I really feel? If nothing's going to rescue me, what does that mean for me? This one needed to learn this. Years ago, she had a tarot reader say to her, your book isn't going to rescue you. Because at the time, she felt that perhaps her book, Conversation with a Tree, was going to be the one thing that would open things up for her and change her world. And when she heard that, it really sunk in and she realized that she had this magical thinking instead of what most people do is to realize that you have an intention, you lay out the steps, you take one step at a time, you stay focused on where you want to be, you don't give up hope, you continue on, and in time, years perhaps, you get there. For her, that wasn't a part of her reality. She was very much holding magical thinking. And so when that person said that to her, she realized it was a gift because it brought her out of that belief system and helped to anchor her back into the earth once again. And again, that's the beauty of this awareness of this new energy that's actually bringing you more anchored into earth and helping you understand how connected you are to Gaia, to terra firma, so that you become more a part of her instead of some false idea. You become more connected to nature, and that brings you back to your own true nature, which is an earth being. And so the more you connect with being an earth being and being fully here and anchored in and letting go of the fairy tale mentality, even in love and relationships, the fairy tale doesn't last. So when you move into relationship without that expectation of being rescued or being the rescuer, then you're much more likely to have a very grounded, solid, heartwarming relationship that doesn't have such high expectation that can't be fulfilled. It's coming into relationship then from the wholeness of who you are and living your life from the wholeness of who you are and deciding your future not based on what's happening on the outside, but from the wholeness of you, who you are, and that wholeness responding in the moment to what you need to do, to how you need to act in the moment. Because life is really only happening in this moment. So when we spend all our time on the future and trying to predict what will happen, it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of your contemplative energy because you don't know what that will be. Predictions are only predictions. And even if it's predicted today, it could change tomorrow. So when you can live your life fully anchored in your own wisdom and fully present in the now, responding with what's happening in the now moment, then you become more connected to the true nature of who you are. Nature does not try to predict what the winter weather is going to be. It responds in the moment. Maple trees lose their leaves depending on many conditions of nature. It turns out it's around the same time every year, but it's not the same date every year when it happens. The response is based on what's happening in the environment at the time. And the more that you can live this way, the more you impact your own world and the more you live in grace, because this ability to respond, having the faith that you have everything you need to be responsive to the world in a way that's going to reflect the world that you would like to be living in, which requires detachment from any drama around what is happening. You simply respond based on what is happening in this now moment. It actually makes you feel much fuller in life, and it actually empowers you to respond not from preconceived notions, because you haven't had any preconceived notions. So therefore, it empowers you to respond more fully into what the moment is bringing, instead of more false programs that are in there that are telling you how you should be responding. So, beloveds, we hope this is helpful for you. And the greatest aspect of this is to remember that the fairy tale is part of the old paradigm that is falling away, the false paradigm. Come back into the reality of this now moment and come back into your being for all that you seek and all that you are. The more you make the choice to do this, even if you're questioning now and wondering, well, how do I do that? The more you say to yourself that this is how you are going to be living your life, you will be led to the answers of how you do that. There is guidance here. If you feel you need more, simply hold the intention. If this resonates with you and feels like truth for you, that this is what you would like to be doing, then in that decision, information will come to you more and more and more that will allow you then to receive the information that you need for this decision that you have made in how you're going to live your life and how you're going to come back to the fullness of the truest essence of who you are as an evolved human on the earth at this time. And remember, beloveds, you are the ones who came here to be this. You are the ones who were chosen to be here right now in this moment of time when so much is shifting and changing. And there is so much love for you, so much love, and that love is right within the heart of you. Find it there, beloveds, find it there. Come home to yourselves. And by the way, we would also like you to know that being in nature among the trees in particular will help you find that wisdom that you are seeking. For the energy, the frequency of that wisdom is there. The trees don't hold the frequency of fear. They hold the frequency of wisdom. So seek them out there. And perhaps you will choose to read this one's book, Conversation with the Tree, to get a taste of what that wisdom truly is. With that, we leave you with so much admiration and respect for all that you are. Find that same quality within yourself, beloveds, for it truly is the human being here and now. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for being here. And I just want to tell you, just put out a teaser so that in the future you can look. I'm going to be starting a new website called Light Rain that has to do with my light language And it's something very new that I'm developing. I don't know if anyone else is actually doing what I'm going to be offering there. And the plan is to launch it for the spring equinox. We'll see how that goes because we go day by day. But I just invite you to keep that in mind and look for that at some point. And of course, once it's available, I'll talk about it more. I'm so excited about it. It's a very new direction for my work, and also still very empowering for humanity, and yet also feels like a redirection that needs to happen for me and all the change that's happening inside. So I'm glad it's blossoming now. Okay, my friends, so much love to you. Be kind to yourselves and know that you are a beautiful love expression in this world.